It's the biggest week of the entire regular season, and we're kicking things off with Mailbag Monday. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Monday, September 15th, 2025. This is Ty Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today. And as always, if you want to hear from me and Colby even more and help support the show, you can check out our Patreon. All you have to do to check that out is click the link in the description of this episode. Let's open up the mailbag like we do here every Monday and answer some of your Mariners questions. We'll also do our daily magic number update towards the end of the show. But let's kick things off here with a question from Nick, who wants to know what a lot of you want to know. Who the heck should I be rooting for in this Texas-Houston series, which is starting tonight?
This is an interesting question that we assumed would be asked a bunch because it is, a bit tricky. I know that the boys on the post-game show, they think you should be rooting for for Texas to sweep Houston. I actually disagree with them. I want Houston to beat Texas because I can take care of Houston myself. Like, it is possible that I can win 2 out of 3 against Kansas City. And even if the Astros sweep the Rangers, they would just still be tied with me in first place. And I can win 2 out of 3 this weekend and have the tiebreaker and be up 1 game going into the last 6. So because Houston is still on the schedule, I still have 3 cracks at them. I think I want Houston to put Texas to bed is what I'm hoping for. Right now, Texas is 3 games behind you. If you could pick up 2 games on them this weekend, they would be
technically 4, by the way.
I was about to say, you pick up 2 games in the next 3, then they're 5 behind you. And at that point, it's really 6 with 9 games to go. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's highly unlikely that they're going to take that from you. And so it's kind of weird. Like, I get why you might want Texas to win because you want to push Houston further behind you before you start this series. And again, if Texas does sweep, Houston and you sweep Kansas City, that's probably the best case scenario because at that point you're 4 games up for the division lead, and if you win one of these games, the tiebreaker is probably not going to matter, and you're going to look really good to win the division. So I understand that side of things, but to me, I want to push Texas out of the playoff race, and I feel like Houston is the last best team to try and do that to Texas. Yeah. So because I can handle Houston myself, I think I want Texas to win. Again, I understand Houston's got an easier end schedule than Texas, barely. But in Seattle, still has to play the Dodgers. But because they have to play the Dodgers, I would really like those last 3 games to not mean that much. So I think I want Texas to be, not eliminated, but basically eliminated. And I think you want to take 2 of 3 from Houston or win that series against Houston and then take your chances in the last 6 games with a 1-2 game lead, something like that against the Astros, hopefully with the tiebreaker as well. So for that reason, I'm actually rooting for Houston to beat Texas in this 3-game series. And whatever Houston does, I need the Mariners to do that or better. If Houston wins 2 out of 3, then Seattle wins 2 out of 3. I'm happy with that. Or more, who knows, but Mariners have already won 9 in a row. So to expect them to win 12 in a row, again, not impossible, but
they won 14 in a row one time.
Sure. But it feels like there's a loss. We know they're not going to run the table. They're not going to go 21-0 in their last. So they're going to lose games, and Kansas City's a tough matchup for them because of their speed and their athleticism. And it's a tough ballpark for them to play in because they don't have great outfield defense. And
you're going to face Michael Wacha and you're going to face Cole Reagans. We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Sure. So I think I would actually say I'd rather Houston win their series because I get a chance to take all that, whatever they might gain on you, you have a chance to take it all right back and put yourself in prime position, regardless of what they do against the Rangers. So I think I would actually prefer Houston to win.
Yeah, would rather just keep pace with Houston and make sure that Texas is no longer breathing down my neck. The goal at the end of the day is just get in, right?
Yeah.
That's my number one priority, is just getting in. Now, obviously, the magic number, as we'll talk about a little later on in the show, is now tied to both Cleveland and Texas for the time being, because they both have the same max win total, and you have the tiebreaker against both. So, there's also the question about who are you rooting for in this Tigers-Guardians series, because catching Detroit, if you win the division, catching Detroit is basically like winning a playoff series, because you get the bye and you're automatically in the ALDS.
Sure.
So there's also that, but I would just rather that creeping thought in the back of my mind of, oh, I could possibly fall out still. Like there's an actual risk of that happening. I would like for that to just go away. And at that point, I think there's a balance you can strike of getting rid of that, but also maintaining your competitiveness for the division.
I think that's why I think ideally what you're rooting for is you're rooting for Houston to take 2 out of 3 so that you take 2 out of 3. You go into Houston up a game. Texas is, down at that point, 4 games? If they took won 1 out of 3 and you won 2 out of 3, they'd be down 4 games, really 5 with the tiebreaker, and there'd be 9 games left. That's a lot of ground to make up for them to catch you. And then obviously you have to keep an eye on Cleveland and Boston and New York as well. Still a lot up in the air right now, but I just, to me, I'm rooting for Houston to take 2 out of 3, or I'm rooting for Houston really to do whatever Seattle does to match it, or if Seattle wants to go 3-0 and Houston wants to go 2-1, like even better. But I'm still rooting for Houston to win that series.
Yeah, absolutely. And even if they go 2-1 in that series and you go 1-2 against the Royals, you're still in a really good spot going into that series this weekend. So I think you can absolutely live with the Astros winning this series. I think that's honestly the preferred route here, just so you can have some of that pressure of just making the playoffs lift off of your shoulders a little bit, but you also need the Tigers to do their part against the Guardians as well. So let us know who you are rooting for in this Rangers-Astros series, and as a bonus, who are you rooting for in the Guardians-Tigers series? Because both of those results could also positively impact the Mariners. Let us know. We will get back into your questions here in just a moment, but first, a reminder: this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by FanDuel and PrizePicks. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. FanDuel makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to Sundays. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. This episode of Locked On Mariners is brought to you by PrizePicks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right means cashing in. With football back, PrizePicks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes, all in less than 60 seconds. It's quick, easy, and a great way to follow along with football. Download the PrizePicks app today and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. For instant reactions following every Mariners game, be sure to tune in to the Mariners postcast with Anderson Hurst and Christopher Crawford, available on both the Locked On Mariners YouTube and podcast feeds. Let's get back into your questions here on Mailbag Monday. Scott wants to know, with this road trip being as important as it is, what do you think has been the Mariners' problems on the road, and how do they overcome them? Pitching. Specifically the starting pitching. And I don't think it's as simple of a matter as the balls that are typically outs at T-Mobile Park are turning into more doubles and home runs on the road. I don't think it's as simple as that. I think mechanically, mentally, these guys just haven't been in the right spot more often than not on the road. Luis Castillo is a great example of that. The Atlanta start notwithstanding. George Kirby in Tampa Bay, I think, is a great example of that.
Right. I mean, you've also spent a lot of time out on the road prior to this last homestand. You had a 10-game road trip, and then before that, you had a 9-game road trip, and sandwiched in between was like a 6-game homestand. So you've spent about 2/3 of your time on the road in your recent road struggles, and it just so happened to be that George Kirby was kind of struggling at that time, both home and road. His command wasn't where it needed to be. Luis was in that funk, and it just so happened that a couple of those starts landed with him on the road, and so those guys weren't throwing the ball well. And then they obviously throw better at T-Mobile Park. It's more forgiving of a ballpark, but them, struggling on the road happens to coincide with them just flat out struggling, typically with their command and control. And for Kirby, we know command is utterly important. And for Castillo, the control is really the important. He's got to throw strikes, good strikes. So for both of those guys in particular, the command was the problem. Logan has just kind of been a mixed bag all year. You never really know what you're going to get. And it doesn't honestly seem to matter home road for Logan. He's had his struggles at T-Mobile Park at times this year as well. Not as pronounced, but it's just kind of one of those weird things where, to me, it's been the starting pitching, like you said, and it's their command. Go back and watch those games. Look at how many fastballs were just dead center of the plate. Look at how many hanging breaking balls they threw. Look at how many hitters counts they got into because especially Luis Castillo, because he would, arm side miss 3 fastballs in a row. And then he would have to put one down the pipe because he can't hit that inside corner. So he's got to throw it down the middle of the plate and hope for the best. And Luis doesn't have that stuff anymore. So, it's one of those things. To me, it's all about command and control. You have to get in good pitchers counts. You have to execute 2-strike pitches. You have to end those at-bats efficiently. When a hitter gets to an 0-2, 1-2 count, the at-bat should be over. Like, you shouldn't be giving up walks on that count. You should be giving up hits on that count, and you especially shouldn't be giving up damage, extra base hits in those counts. You have to figure out a way to put that hitter to bed because that'll kill your pitch count. And if you're throwing 80 pitches to get through 4, you're exhausted and you don't have much left for the 5th, even though you technically have 20 pitches or so left. Pitch counts aren't created equal. 100 pitches in 5 innings is much more difficult than 100 pitches in 7. So it's just one of those things where they're falling behind. Then they're having to challenge guys down the middle of the plate. When they get to 2 strikes, when they do get ahead, they're not putting them away in an effective manner, which means they're throwing a lot of high stress pitches, and those pitches leak over the middle of the plate, and they're not getting away with them. So to me, it's all about command and control and being efficient. You have to be efficient on the road. You have to be efficient everywhere, but especially on the road. When you get to 2 strikes, that at-bat needs to be over. It should be rare that a runner reaches with 2 strikes. And for the Mariners, it really hasn't been this year. So especially Kirby and especially Castillo when they're struggling. And we saw that a lot on the road, over the last couple starts out there. So hopefully that'll be better. Sometimes you just have to get home, you can be a little more aggressive, and just the freedom that you have to, like, I can make a mistake here and I'll probably be okay. And that can just help you refine things instead of just being like, I have to be perfect. And when you're not, you just feel that. So I think there's a mentality thing of just getting right at home and then going out on the road. But 100%, it's the starting pitching, and it is all about command and control with all 5 of these guys.
Yep. And so you're going to need to have great starting pitching on this road trip. Because you're going to have to go blow for blow with guys like Michael Wacha and Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez.
Even Cole Reagans.
Yeah. And, we'll see how much Reagans is able to pitch in that Wednesday game. But again, we'll talk about that tomorrow. But yeah, you're going to face some really good pitchers on this road trip. And, the Astros are throwing their 2 best guys at you. You're countering with your best guys in that series as well. You're going to need those guys to have the games of their lives in that series. We'll talk about that, when we get to that series. But that's how you're going to have a successful road trip. All right. Max wants to know, besides the Etsy witch, are there any numbers that show how the Mariners have won 9 straight? Anything you've specifically noticed? I mean, it's the bullpen.
Yeah.
The bullpen had to cover 38 innings over the course of the win streak. They gave up 1 earned run They walked like
That fresh
6 guys. I'm pretty sure 3 of them were intentional walks, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think they had the second most strikeouts of any bullpen over that stretch.
Mm-hmm.
They were sensational. And it was everyone. It was literally everyone in that bullpen contributed to it.
Everybody got a big out or had a big inning or had a big game out of that bullpen. All 10 guys, because they had to use an extra guy because, they couldn't stop playing extra inning games. So yes, the easy answer here is the bullpen was spectacular. I would be remiss if I didn't mention they also were playing the Braves, the Cardinals, and the Angels. All 3 teams who have absolutely given up on this year and weren't fielding their best rosters because guys were nicked up and they were hurt, and they're just like, yeah, why risk it and all that. So that is part of it. Like whether you like it or not, that is a factor. The Mariners were playing bad teams, and they played a lot of close games with bad teams. So that may be a little sketchy there, but they did win all of them. They won all 9 of them. Well, 9 out of 10 if you count the Brave series. And again, like, give credit to the starters this weekend. They mostly did their job as well, but it was the bullpen is the reason that you've won 9 in a row, and the quality of the opponent. I think those kind of go hand in hand, but obviously certainly more credit goes to the bullpen because it wasn't just Munoz and Brash and Bizzardo. You needed everybody, and they all stepped up. So that's the reason.
That also Luis Castillo's start was huge when they desperately needed innings from him. They desperately needed a really good start out of him. That was huge. Brian Woo's great start. Like, just the pitching in general, but definitely the bullpen.
Yeah.
The bullpen was insane. And that came out of nowhere.
Yeah. The bullpen got hung out to dry a couple of times in this win streak, and they just didn't care. They did their job. They
answered the bell every single time.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter who it was. Luke Jackson, Emerson Hancock,
Jose Castillo, who's not even here anymore.
Thank you for your service, Jose Castillo.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah,
So
everyone. All right, Jeff wants to know: is anything less than a 4-2 road trip a failure? No. Go 3-3. I mean, well, how does the
if you sweep the Astros? The
success. That's a huge success.
Yeah. If you sweep the Astros, the Royal Series doesn't end up mattering at all.
Yeah.
I guess technically it could if the Astros sweep the Rangers, but even then, if you sweep the Astros, you're 1 game up with the tiebreaker with 6 games to go. So 4-2 should be, I think, the goal. You win both series, you feel pretty good about it. You come back home, but they could go 3-3. It just kind of depends on how the 3-3 goes, and do they lose the Astros series and go 3-3? And it's probably a little bit of a I don't want to say disaster, because at that point it depends. What did the Rangers do? What did the Guardians do? What did the Red Sox do? So we're at the point of the year where one individual result really can't be disastrous. You have to look at what everybody else did around you. You're at that point. Yeah. So a loss can be really, really bad, or it can end up being not that painful of a loss, really. But it's dependent on everybody else. Whereas every win, though, is massive. It's huge. So 4-2 should be the goal. But could they go 3-3 and still have a successful road trip? Yes, absolutely they could. 2-4, probably not. I think
if those 2 wins come in the Astros series, then maybe.
But probably 3-3, you have to go at least 3-3, I think. But if you go 3-3, and again, if you win that Astros series, if you sweep the Astros, the Kansas City series is pretty irrelevant. So I wouldn't count on that. Don't count on sweeping the Astros. Still go out there and win the series, but there is a way they could go 3-3 and still have a successful road trip. Sure.
Blonde Madison Beer wants to know, when will Ben Williamson come back?
At this stage, probably never. 2026. I
think he should be back.
Should, but he's obviously.
I think he brings more value to you right now than Cole Young does.
Agreed, but they haven't made that move yet. It's an off day today, so maybe they announce it today or tomorrow. But
I'm just saying, if my name was Jerry DePoto, I would send Cole Young down to AAA and call up Ben Williamson.
Sure. And Tacoma is going to make the playoffs, so even if you could just have Cole Young play through the duration of the playoffs too, down there. Even if you want to add him to the playoff roster, there's an outside shot he gets added to the playoff roster. I think we have a question about that in a minute. I don't know if you
No.
picked it or not. No. Okay. So yeah, there's an outside shot he makes the playoff roster because in a 3-game series, you don't need to carry 13 pitchers. The Mariners might do it anyways, but you don't need to. You certainly don't, not in a 3-game series. So they have an opportunity to carry 5-6 dudes on the bench. And if they do, having elite third base defense late in the game is probably more valuable than having, say, Taylor Saucedo be the third lefty out of your bullpen. So it's possible they do that. Again, I think I would have them up right now, send Cole Young down, but I don't get a feeling that they're going to do that, but they might. It's certainly still in the cards. So could be as soon as tomorrow. It could be not till 2026. I mean, it could be never. Honestly, they could trade Ben Williamson this winter and it'll be never. Don't really have a good answer to your question, but it should be now. There's a chance it's for the playoffs. He's on that playoff roster, but there's also a chance that he never plays for the Mariners again. Not to be too ominous, but so everything's on the table right now.
All right, we have one more question to answer, and then we will do our magic number update in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by Nutrafol. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, yeah, sure, like that actually works. And I don't blame you, because there are so many products out there, and it is so hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. That's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype. This is a supplement clinically tested that targets the root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. See thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. And for a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On Mariners listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. Let's get into our final question of the day, which comes from NWFXSEA, who wants to know who's starting game 1 if you could align the rotation to your preferred spots. Brian Wu.
It's Brian Wu. There's literally no other option.
Brian Wu.
Nobody's even competing for consideration.
Yeah, Wu is perfectly lined up for that right now. He's set to pitch in the final game of the Rockies series. Now, with the off day next Monday, if they need him to pitch against the Dodgers, they could push him back a day to pitch in game 1 of the Dodgers series. And even at that point, he would still be lined up. I think he would still get 4 days.
2 days off after the regular season ends. So yeah.
So it's Brian Wu. It's Brian Wu. I just don't see how it could not be Brian Wu.
I don't care about the opponent. I don't care about the location. The answer is Brian Wu. There is nobody even in the conversation with him. It is Brian Wu, 50 feet of you know what, than everybody else. The real question is who starts game 2.
I think Logan.
I think that probably depends on location and opponent. But yeah, Logan would be my best guess without knowing any specifics.
If you're home, then probably Luis for game 3.
If you're playing the Astros, you might go George, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
If you're playing the Yankees, probably still George, but we'll see.
All right. It's time for the magic number update. So the magic number for the Mariners to get into the playoffs can go down tonight, unfortunately. So there isn't really anything to watch for there. So just chill tonight. Watch some ball. I assume a lot of you are going to be watching the Astros Rangers series, but even if the Rangers lose, the magic number doesn't go down because both them and the Guardians have the same max win total of 91. The Mariners obviously have the tiebreaker over them. So the magic number is going to stay at 9 because the Guardians don't play tonight. They start their series with the Tigers tomorrow. The magic number for the division would go down, obviously, if the Astros lost tonight. I believe the magic number there is 12. That's if the Mariners don't win the tiebreaker between them and Houston. And it's 11 if they do win the tiebreaker. So that goes down to 11/10 tonight if the Astros lose.
Right.
And that's really it. I don't know if do you know if the Red Sox or the Yankees are playing?
The Yankees are playing the Twins.
Okay. Yeah.
And the Red Sox are not.
Yeah, Red Sox start a series against the A's tomorrow in Boston.
It's pesky A's.
Yeah. So the Yankees, I believe you're only half a game worse than they are right now. They obviously have the tiebreaker on you.
So
yeah. So you would have to clear them by a full game. And they've got some pretty easy series coming up. It's the Twins, it's the Orioles, it's the White Sox, and then it's the Orioles again. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that you are not going to catch the Yankees, but crazier things have happened. Sure. So there is a route here to basically my whole point here is that there is a route here, like a legit one to actually hosting playoff games without winning the division. But you have to surpass the Yankees in order to do that. And if you're going to have the final 12 games, you're probably going to need to have to keep up with them and then pass them with all the easy teams that they're going up against. You're probably winning the division anyway. So it doesn't even matter at that point, I would say.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, just something to keep an eye on. And then, the Red Sox, continue to root for the Red Sox to lose because that just gives you more of a buffer between you and the Guardians and the Rangers.
Yep.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, not a ton can happen tonight for you outside of the divisional magic number going down. So just kick back, relax. It's your only chance to do so the rest of the way here, really. We'll see, how things
off day on that Monday.
Yeah, we'll see how things look on that Monday. We'll see how things look. But
could be big chilling by next Monday.
That'd be great.
Or
that'd be great. Or
we could all have ulcers.
So
really not much of an in between.
Yeah. So yeah, just enjoy some ball tonight.
Just win, baby.
That's right. That is going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. For Colby Patnode, I'm Titan Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at @LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Titan Gonzalez, Colby at CPAT11, that's CPAT11. We're also on Blue Sky. You can follow me at TDG, Colby at MLB Colby, and the show at Locked On Mariners. You can also find us on Instagram at Locked On Mariners. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.